I was streaming a cooking tutorial when the police showed up and said I was running an illegal drug operation. The evidence was my spice rack. I had 340 viewers on my Tuesday night stream. I make Indian food on Twitch twice a week under the name Spice Mommy because my grandmother taught me to cook before she taught me anything else. I was midstream toasting whole spices in a dry pan when somebody pounded on my apartment door so hard the camera shook. 2 officers and a plainclothes detective. Are you Indy Basra? Yes. We have reason to believe controlled substances are being manufactured or distributed from this address. I was standing in my apron holding a wooden spoon with turmeric on my hands looking like I'd been fingerprinted in gold. He held up a printed screenshot from one of my streams. Someone had circled the jars on my shelf behind the stove, my spice rack. 32 glass jars with handwritten labels. The ones they'd circled were garam masala, poppy seeds, hing, and a jar of green powder labeled special mix. We received a report you're packaging and selling unregulated substances and broadcasting it publicly. That's garam masala, it's a spice blend. And the one labeled special mix? My grandmother's curry powder, turmeric, coriander, cumin, fenugreek, mustard seed. They came inside. My stream was still running. Chat was moving so fast it was just a blur of what is happening and free spice mammy. I said, my stream is live right now. He said, turn it off. I said, I'd rather have witnesses. Officers started opening my spice jars one by one, sniffing them. One opened the hing and his face contorted so hard he almost dropped it. What the hell is that? Asafoetida. South Indian cooking. Smells terrible until it hits oil. The detective opened the poppy seeds and put them in an evidence bag. You can't be serious. Ma'am, poppy seeds can contain trace amounts of opiates. They're in every grocery store in the country. He bagged the special mix next. My grandmother's recipe that I'd mixed by hand the way she showed me, grinding whole seeds in a mortar, toasting them, combining them in proportions she never wrote down because she kept them in her hands, not on paper. I'd spent 2 years recreating it from memory after she died. Watching him drop it into a plastic evidence bag made something in my chest go very tight. A regular viewer who was a lawyer typed in all caps, "Do not consent to a search without a warrant. Do you have a warrant?" He said the report gave them probable cause. My viewer typed, "A screenshot of a spice rack is not probable cause." I said, "I'd like you to leave unless you have a warrant." The detective looked at chat scrolling on my monitor, looked at the camera. He realized he was being watched by over 1,000 people because the clip of the officer gagging at the hing had already hit Twitter. They left. Took my garam masala, poppy seeds, and grandmother's special mix. Results came back 6 days later. Everything was exactly what I said. Spices. They returned the jars, but the special mix had been opened and contaminated by testing. The proportions were ruined. 2 years of recreating something my grandmother kept in her hands, and a detective dumped it into a lab because someone circled a screenshot. The tip was traced to a viewer banned from my chat 3 weeks earlier for posting racist comments about my food. He reported me as revenge. He was not charged with anything. I rebuilt the special mix on camera. It took 3 tries. On the 3rd, I tasted it, and it was close. Not exact. Close enough that if my grandmother were watching, she'd say, almost beta, a little more fenugreek. I added a little more fenugreek,